So last time I talked about Wonder Woman's villains and how slept on they are, you guys showed me I only scratched a fraction of the surface. Of course, there's your Cheetahs, your Gigantas, your Dr. Poisons, etc, etc. We even touched on some of the villains in the Absolute Universe too, like Clea and Veronica Kale. But dog, there's so many more. I finally read this most recent issue of Absolute Wonder Woman 2, so I'm back in a bit of a Wonder Woman mood, you dig? Zatanna's villain arc lasted like 1.5 chapters, but her dad is going crazy, dude. Zatara is insane. He set Diana ablaze frame 1 of his appearance, but that's neither here nor there right now. Wonder Woman has some of the strangest, most random villains I've ever seen in my life. Who are you people? The character that came up the most in the comments of the last video was definitely Angleman. I genuinely thought the first like 3 people that said something about him were joking, but this man genuinely has shooters. I don't know how different pre and post crises change his origin, but from what I understand about this character, he was just a regular criminal who ended up getting powers from Darkseid. So he has this supernatural weapon that makes portals into space and time itself, and he uses it to keep doing petty crimes? He said, F the big leagues, I guess. Except this angler actually ended up being a piece of the anti-life equation, so he's casually using one of the most powerful devices in the history of the universe to do nothing burger ass crimes, bro. Diana, go ahead and boom this guy. But you know what? I think I respect it a little. He never forgot where he came from. Although, why did Darkseid give this man powers? Like, genuinely, what made Darkseid look at this random criminal, genuinely the most random dude of all time, and be like, you know what? Here's a piece of the anti-life equation. What? Am I crazy, or do this low-key look like Kick-Ass and Kite Man? These two belong in the same category in my head. I don't know how he got a TV series. I did hear that Kite Man series was actually good though, but am I watching it? Probably not. Respectfully, shout out Kite Man. Respectfully keep it. It might be a great series, so let me not even say that. I'm all for giving everything a chance, but like really anyway, I think Angleman's also Vandal Savage's son sometimes, which is hella interesting, but I really want to see how Diana interacts with him and what their relationship is like. I know he's worked with Dr. Psycho in the past before to box Wonder Woman, which is such an interesting pair for her to face off against, because she could easily fry both of them in a battle of strength, but they both have such weird powers it would probably be super difficult for her to fight them physically. I don't know how you fight psychic powers plus interdimensional apocalypse portals together. How do you defeat them? That's cracked. Now Absolute Wonder Woman could probably handle them though. That's really my goat, dog. Kelly Thompson is such a genius for making Wonder Woman a sorceress. I'm actually hella curious as to what Absolute Dr. Psycho is gonna be like. Dr. Psycho could be pretty similar to his mainline universe self, or he could be the most completely different ever. The next villain I heard a lot about was Blue Snowman. Interesting name. When I was told about this character, I don't really remember what I was expecting visually, but a nigga in a literal blue snowman suit of armor was not what I was expecting. The bowler hat is clean though. They're a super smart scientist with this suit of armor and a gun that shoots snow so cold you literally get paralyzed. Yeah, I think that's a lot scarier than whatever Captain Cold got going on. Although granted, Captain Cold is a Flash villain, so like he probably has some crack that shit too, cause how are you banging out with a literal speedster? Hey, but still, they showed up in My Adventures with Superman too, which I definitely did not notice when I was watching, because I didn't know who Blue Snowman was, but also they weren't in a Blue Snowman armor. I really can't tell how serious of a threat this character is to Wonder Woman though, because from the few panels and stories I've looked at, they got dealt with fairly easily. Now look, maybe I just haven't seen enough Blue Snowman stories. Well, definitely, yeah, because I literally just learned about this character. But also, it feels like the most efficient way to beat Wonder Woman in general is through the power of jumping. I don't know a lot of characters who could easily give her trouble alone. That might also just be because the only Wonder Woman comic I've consistently read is Absolute Wonder Woman, and she still struggles in that book, but not a whole lot if I'm being honest. That's why I'm so excited to see what an in-person confrontation with her and Veronica Kale is gonna look like. Veronica Kale is like the Joker of this story. Despite whoever we perceive Wonder Woman's like arch nemesis to be, Veronica Kale in the Absolute Universe, that is Wonder Woman's villain. That's like her, you feel me? So it's like seeing them interact is gonna be crazy, bruh. Diana cannot just waltz in and box her, cast some spells, pull out some crazy shit, ask one of the gods that raised her for guidance. No, no, no. This is Veronica Kale. You gotta like scare me, scare us as an audience. Show us that like you're not like the other villains. I don't mean to compare her to Absolute Batman so frequently. Those are just the only 2 comics I'm reading, but that nigga gets put through the ringer. When Absolute Batman takes on a villain, that motherfucker suffers. But I guess that's just a difference in the theming and the messaging and like the overarching you know, of what these different stories are saying. Absolute Wonder Woman is a lot more hopecore. Absolute Batman is hopecore too, but it's hopecore disguised in a lot of heavy shit. So maybe that's a nothing criticism. I don't know. I just want a villain to really test her. But look though, another villain I hadn't heard of before was Silver Swan. Welcome home, Warren. I think she has the same powers as Archangel too, but with Sonic Banshee type abilities on top of that, which is neat. She was in Wonder Woman Bloodlines, but I never seen that movie. And that post-Flashpoint animated New 52 universe of movies they had are kind of mad at me now. I'm sure she was cool in that movie though. Maybe. Now look though, I did enjoy all of the Damian Wayne Center movies in that universe. The Teen Titans one, all the Batman movies about him. Those were fire from my memory. They could be some ass now. They could still be great. There have also been a bunch of different versions of the character throughout her history, and her designs vary a lot in terms of how mechanical versus organic she looks. I don't know, some of these comics are really old, and so it's kind of hard to tell if these are supposed to be white wings or silver wings, but I like the idea that like Wonder Woman has this villain that looks very angelic, but it's like, dog, you're on some evil shit. I'm sure their fights looked really cool. There were also some comments about a villain named Egg Fu. Alright, not gonna lie, I thought Angleman and this one had to be jokes. This gotta be racist. So this guy is just shaped like an egg on some chill shit, and also sometimes friends with Harley Quinn. I think that's the part that makes the most sense so far. Harley loves a band of misfits. It seems like they made him look less and less racist as time progressed, but dog, really nigga? He kind of just looks like Egg Modok, but somehow 3 times creepier. We lost the plot with this one, not gonna lie. It's really crazy to me that Wonder Woman has this deep well of villains I and a lot of other people have never heard of before. And these villains aren't characters that show up in movies either. You kind of need a series for some villains like this. I don't know if I'm trying to see Blue Snowman be the villain of an entire Wonder Woman movie, but an episode of a TV series? Hell yeah. Especially if they come back later on down the line. The villains we talked about here feel like villains of the week that end up becoming recurring with some invincible timing. Except Angleman. I don't know about him. He feels more like the Spot in the sense that he feels like nothing until we realize that this power is genuinely the most cracked shit ever. Those types of villains are so fire, dude. Shout out the Spot. Let me not make this about Spider-Verse though. Let me relax. Although I'm not gonna lie, get that Spot video coming eventually. But yeah, I'm still extremely cautiously optimistic about that DCU Wonder Woman movie coming, but I know Absolute Wonder Woman gonna deliver every time. Shout out Zatara and his metal ass design, dog. Holy! The way his human design pokes through the burning skeleton is so tough. Also, they did the classic thing where the super powerful villain booms another villain to show how cold they are. It's interesting that some of Veronica Kale's Suicide Squad have already flipped sides. RPOG Cheetah though. Her fight with Giganta was insane too. This was a straight up Titan fight, and I'm so glad that Giganta wasn't one of the villains that kind of switched sides and ended up not being so bad. I'm so glad that Giganta is a wild card. She gonna spin back and try to boom Diana again, cause dog, Giganta just one of those villains that just makes sense as a recurring Wonder Woman villain, bro. That's a Titan ass villain for a Titan ass character, a Titan ass hero. Cook, Kelly Thompson Cook. Every time we do one of these Wonder Woman videos, I simply have to bring up Absolute Wonder Woman because that's what got me into this character for real. Like, yeah, Wonder Woman was always cool, but Absolute Wonder Woman peak, right? So it's just always fun to like use these videos as ways to, yes, dive deeper into Diana as a character and her history, but also as like little checkups as like what's happening in the Absolute universe on Wonder Woman's end of things. I love that. Zatanna, get your pops before he really killed Diana. Chill out. But why do I feel like we still have only scratched the surface of how weird and strange and random Wonder Woman's villains can be? Who else is out there? But yeah, shout out Wonder Woman, shout out her very random villains, and shout out you.
I can't feel my face right now, I'm burning up. I got this feeling that I won't come down, like, got this feeling that I won't come down, like, got this feeling that I